Guys, look at this delicious piece of cake. Chocolate cake with a mint buttercream frosting. Oh, we are going to make some delicious today.
Well, howdy folks! Welcome back to Texas Cooking Today. On this episode, we're going to be making a chocolate cake. Now folks, let me tell you something. Everybody needs in their recipe file a basic chocolate cake recipe. And that's what this is going to be. This is going to be your basic chocolate cake recipe. This is my base recipe, and it's something that you can build on with other ingredients at other times, you know, when you're experimenting. But you need that first basic cake recipe to start with, right? And that's what this is. No frills, no fancies, just plain chocolate cake. And then what we're going to do is fix up a very, very special mint buttercream frosting. Now, if you're not big on mint, I get that, but I like mint because it goes well with chocolate. If you want to make yours a vanilla buttercream or a rum buttercream or a butterscotch buttercream or a cocoa buttercream, you can make it into anything you want. It's just what flavorant you put into it. So I'm going to teach you how to whip up buttercream frosting. So guys, this is really good. It's really tasty. And this one is a lot of fun. So guys, I tell you what, let's get up in the kitchen and let's make this most delicious chocolate cake with a mint buttercream frosting. Come on, let's go. Okay guys, look at that wonderful goodies that we have to bake with. Now let's go over all the ingredients. If you need an ingredients list on this, get your pen and paper and get ready to write this down. All right. First off, 2 cups of flour. Just a plain all-purpose flour works good on this one, guys. 1.5 sticks of butter, and that would be 3/4 of a cup of butter. Now what we're going to do with the butter, and the reason I have it in this, is I'm going to melt it. I'm just going to put it in the microwave, melt it off, and once it's melted, this thing is ready to assemble. Milk, 1 cup. 2 eggs. 1.5 cup granulated sugar. Of course, this is a chocolate cake, so it takes cocoa. I have 6 tablespoons of cocoa powder. Guys, there is the secret ingredient, and it is amazing what this one little ground up 1/2 teaspoon of powder will do. This is cinnamon. Now, in a chocolate cake, for some odd reason, cinnamon works. It works in the strangest way, but you can't use much of it. 1/2 teaspoon to this cake is more than enough, and it will come through in the most remarkable way. It blends with the flavor of cocoa so well, it's unbelievable. So you really need to try it once if you've never done that. We have baking soda and baking powder. Wonderful recipe here. We're also making buttercream frosting. I have a stick of butter down here, and that's 1/2 cup of butter. And we're going to be using 2 cups of confectioner's sugar. That's that powdered sugar, guys. All right, and I have my mint extract. I'm going to use 1 teaspoon of my mint extract to make a good, strong, minty, sweet frosting. Guys, this is really easy to do. You're going to be so surprised when you see how little work goes into this particular chocolate cake. I'll tell you what, let's get on with this. One of the things we're going to have to do is take your cake pan. You can use any pan that you want. I'm using a 13x9, 2-inch deep glass pan. What we're going to do on this pan, I have a little bit of flour in here. I'm going to take some butter. We're going to rub it all over it. We're going to flour it. I want to teach you what's called the greasing and flour technique. So the buttercream is going to be made after the cake has been removed from the oven and has time to cool. So it's going to be hours from now before I make my buttercream. But you need to know, even though it's going to be hours before I make that buttercream, The butter is already sitting out. It's coming up in temperature, and I'm about to put it in the bowl it's going to be worked in. There we go. So I'm going to be mixing mine with a power mixer. You can do this by hand with just a simple whisk. The whisk will do this whole recipe, frosting and cake, all right? I'll tell you what, let's get on with making this. It's so easy, come on. All right, guys, the very first thing that we need to do to make this cake, I want to take this butter, I'm just going to cut it down into smaller pieces. All this will do is just help it melt a little quicker and easier in the microwave. I don't want this to get too hot as it melts, but I have to get it melted, okay? You can do this over the stove also. Just do it over a low heat until it all is turned to liquid. The first thing I do whenever I'm going to be making a cake like this or any other baked recipe is I combine my dry ingredients. So first, I'm going to place my flour into the bowl. I'm actually going to mix this in right down over that flour. That was the baking soda. This is the baking powder. Here's our salt, gently sprinkled over. I'm going to give those a stir, just a light stir. A little bit of that cinnamon, our cocoa, and stir that. Now, by the way, guys, you know when you go to the store and you buy a cake mix, okay, so you'll know once I add the sugar to this, that's a cake mix. Okay, that's all they're giving you is what we just sat here and mixed together. So you're paying that extra money for somebody to go ahead and do this right here for you. And we are now going to grease and flour our pan. I have just a small piece of butter here. That's all you're going to need is about a tablespoon of butter. Let's take the butter, mine just broke apart, and rub it across this dish. Okay, and the idea, guys, is you want to get the most thorough coating possible. You don't want any of the glass to not have butter on it. And some folks like to use the spray-on coatings. And if I use that, well, what kind of a teacher would I be? Now the next thing we do is we put some flour in this. So you see how I'm working this around the sides? Now I'm going to dump the rest of this out, and I'm going to have my ready floured pan, okay? All right, guys, our pan greased and floured and ready to go. Now we just got to finish mixing up our batter. It's time for us to mix our ingredients together, guys. Now, something that you want to make sure you have handy, keep a rubber spatula handy so that we can scrape out our bowls as we go. Now, the first thing I want to do is to get my butter right down in here. So I'm just going to pour it on in. I'll remove any excess I can from that bowl. Put our eggs in there. Put the milk in. Break those 2 egg yolks, guys. And let's get busy just mixing it all together. All I have to do now, guys, get it into my pan. Get that pan down in the oven. And we're ready to go. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pour all of this in just one big old pile right in the middle here. You didn't think it was going to be that easy, did you? So now what I'm going to do is just kind of work this until it fits my pan, okay? You know, so I'm working from the center out. Okay, looky there. Now it's nice and level, ready to hit the oven. It's going to go in there. This usually takes around 30 minutes, guys, but what we're going to do is check it with a toothpick. We insert a toothpick into it, pull it out, and if that toothpick comes out clean, it's done. If the toothpick has liquid or batter on it, then it needs more cooking. It's just that simple. But we start at 30 minutes. All right, there it is. Now we need to set that timer for 30 minutes, guys. Okay, guys, this just came out of the oven. Now, I told you about that toothpick test. You insert a toothpick in it, like so, pull that thing out, and if there's liquid or batter on there, then you need to go back in with it, okay? But if it comes out clean like that, then you have a fully cooked cake. In a little bit, your chocolate cake is going to be ready to cut up after we frost it off with that buttercream. Okay guys, it is now time for us to make some buttercream frosting. 1/2 cup of butter,
2 cups of powdered sugar. I have some extract here. Now, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to use my whisk, and you can do this with a hand whisk also. But you see how the butter has become soft? It's room temperature now. So I'm going to use my whisk, and I am going to cream this butter. Now guys, let's get over here and take a closer look at what's going on. As you can see, it's working really nice. This will not take long. Now guys, whenever you're working with a mixer like this, you're occasionally going to have to loosen up that butter or whatever else that you're mixing. We're going to start working in some of that sugar. Now I have a small measuring scoop that I'm just going to gently work small amounts in with. You have to be careful. If you go too fast on that, it's going to kick it out. So as you can see, we'll speed it up just for a moment. You get it light, fluffed again, and then back down to slower speed. More of the sugar. And I just gently work it in this way, a little bit at a time. I'm going to put in my extract. Now guys, sometimes if it has a tendency to be a bit thick, you can add milk or cream, and not very much of it, just the tiniest amount at a time. 1 teaspoon. Now what the cream is going to do is that's going to lighten it. It's going to make it want to flow. It'll improve the viscosity of it, basically, is what it's doing. All right, guys, that's it. We are done. Buttercream frosting is made. Now you might be thinking, but gosh, that looks like a lot of work if I have to do it by hand. Well, it's more work, of course, than doing it by machine, yes, but it's not that bad, guys. I've done it by hand myself. Now we have this ready to go onto our cake. Let's move over there and get at it. There we go. Now I'm just going to work it around a bit. I'm going to work it down around to the corners a little. So there we have it, guys. One beautiful chocolate cake with a buttercream mint frosting on it. Now, I can't wait to cut this up and enjoy it. So as you can see, if you're just looking for a basic birthday cake, something that's easy to throw together at a moment's notice, this one isn't too hard to do. The hardest part's really just kind of the wait time for the cake to cool down. And of course, if you just make sure you cook your cake in advance, then when it comes time to put that frosting on it, you're ready to go. There it is, guys. I hope you enjoy. Well, there it is, guys. As you can see, this is not one of those difficult dishes. Look at that. Up close view, guys. Look very, very closely at the structure on the cake. How well it rose up, how well it all worked out. Just beautiful. That lovely, lovely buttercream on top. It's a mint buttercream frosting on top of chocolate. And anybody knows mint and chocolate just go together. Oh, man. Okay, first off, wonderful basic chocolate cake recipe. It's perfect structure, perfect moisture content, great for a lot of stuff, guys. Cling to this one. That mint buttercream, you put that over the top of chocolate, and when you chew the two together, it forms this beautiful marriage, this harmony of flavors, and then it pops with that little tiny bite of cinnamon in the background. It just comes through, and it's wonderful. Fantastic, guys. Right now my mouth is just exploding with flavors. It's unbelievable, and it's so tasty. It's so moist, delicious.
And guys, I would like to say thank you very much for watching Texas Cooking Today in this episode. Thank you to my subscribers, and if you haven't subscribed, if you would, please do so. Please click like. It's going to help me a whole lot when it comes to how people find me in a search engine. If you want, leave a question down below, and I'll do my very best to give you an answer. Also, love to see comments. Guys, thank you very much for that. And if you would do one last thing for me, please, just have a good day. Bye-bye. Hey dude.
Hi, how are you?
Oh, not too bad. Shooting video at the moment. Can I give you a call back in a few?
Oh, yeah, no problem.
So, I'll be done probably in about 30 minutes here.
Not a problem. I'll talk to you later.
Okay, bye-bye.